100 Afghan soldiers, at least 20 civilians killed in a surprise Taliban attack against the city of Ghazni in northern Afghanistan. The surprise attack has now gone on to 5 days of warfare. The city, which is only 75 miles away from the capital of Kabul, is under still Afghan government control, but the fighting rages on. Joining us tonight, retired four-star general, Fox Business strategic analyst, General Jack Keane. General, it is strange to hear the words surprise attack after all of the troops that we have there, all of the forces we have deployed in Afghanistan. What is going on?
Well, the fact is that we have never recovered from the awful decision that President Obama made when Petraeus and McChrystal, two of our best counterinsurgency generals, came forward to him, made a recommendation, put in play a counterinsurgency strategy, which he agreed with. Then they told him we need the minimum forces to accomplish that winning strategy is 40,000 troops. He cut it by 25% and then said, well, I'm going to pull the troops out in 15 months. We've never recovered from that decision, Lou. That doomed Afghanistan to the path we're on now. Enter President Trump and his national security team. They know they don't have a winning hand. So what the president decides to do is buy for time. So he says, I'm not going to arbitrarily withdraw. I'm going to stay the course. I'll strengthen the Afghan National Army as best I can with advisors. And what's not stated, Lou, we're going to try to convince the Taliban that they can't win. And what we'll be able to do is maybe win at the negotiating table and end this thing politically. That's kind of what the strategy is that's unfolded. Problem with that, Taliban's got initiative. They've got freedom of movement. At times they can go out and attack where they want to attack and certainly undermine the government and undermine political will for that government. And that's what they're doing here.
A small outpost did fall to the Taliban. Ghazni is still under government control, Afghan government control. How important is it that Ghazni be preserved under government control and the Taliban defeated in their so-called surprise offensive?
Yeah, no doubt. We've got to take that back from them, and we will take that back. But, I mean, the Taliban have got a political and a moral victory here as a result of it, because this is a prominent city not too far from Kabul, as you mentioned in the introduction. They've already kind of got what they want out of this. In other words, they've demonstrated that they're still powerful, that they want a stake in Afghanistan for the future, and they want to carve that stake out as much as they can militarily, so when they sit down at the negotiating table, they'll get more out of that deal.
It is, I think, worth considering deeply. Certainly our military and our geopolitical experts in Washington and around the world. The United States took control of Afghanistan, effective control, in 2002 through its measures led in some parts by the CIA, paramilitary operations, as well as U.S. Special Forces throughout the country. We have squandered that over the course of time through two administrations, and now we're faced with the prospect, the Taliban, which controlled the country all those years ago, will be back and just as menacing, if not more so, in what would be victory. What are we to do?
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, what happened to us is that in late 2001, literally 4 weeks after the Taliban were defeated by the strategy and people you just mentioned, the Bush administration made a decision to go to war in Iraq. That was December 2001.
Right.
The reason why I know that, I was there.
Yep.
And we have never recovered from that decision. We never put any forces of any consequence back into Afghanistan. Meanwhile, the Taliban reemerged predictably because we didn't have the forces there to stop them from reemerging, and we didn't build an Afghan military because we went off to fight the war in Iraq. We never put forces back in there until 2008. President Bush did it at the end of his administration. And then unfolded as what I just described in 2009 and 2010. This has always been a secondary effort. I mean, I mean, it's tragic. 17 years, United States of America, most powerful military in the world, can't defeat some people kept running around with AK-47, which is an assault rifle, and using homemade explosive devices and shoulder-fired grenades. This is what these guys are doing. Of course we can. We've never put the right resources in there, and we've never had the right strategy. And my view is, you know, if you're going to fight a war, you should probably make up your mind to win it and just go out and get that done. We
did that in 2002, as you and I both noted. It is, to me, you know, as President Trump has pointed out, you can put the number at $6 trillion, you can put it at $7 trillion. What Iraq has cost us, Afghanistan, and an adventurous military campaign that's spread over a decade and a half that has come to this. You know, President Trump has said in his campaign, we've got to have a smart government and we've got to have a smart military. And right now, we just don't look very smart, do we, General?
No. The good decision the president made was to stay the course. But we still don't have the right resources in there, and we're permitting, and you and I have spoken about this before, and this is the elephant in the room. We're permitting the Afghan Taliban to have 2 sanctuaries in Pakistan. Now, we've pulled military aid away from the Pakistanis, but they can get that back from the Chinese real easy. We have to put real pressure on the Pakistanis in a way that our 2 previous presidents were not willing to do. And I hope this one steps up and does it, because that will also really start to have some impact on the Taliban, where they can't take refuge, where all their leaders are, where they do their training, and when they leave the battlefield to refresh themselves, knowing that no one's going to bother them there. That's an absurdity. And no insurgency has ever been defeated when there's sanctuaries outside the combat zone, and we're tolerating it.
And we're also tolerating, all these years later, all of those poppy fields in Afghanistan that supply all of that opium to the world and create death and devastation across the globe. Why don't we destroy those poppy fields?
We can.
I know we can.
It takes a little bit of will on our part, and we'd have to get the cooperation of the Afghan government. And right now, we don't have that cooperation to do that.